Hi there, I'm Ulf at HoboRec. Today we're gonna look at some. Oh, sorry. Bobo! Hi, I'm Ulf at HoboRec. Today we're gonna look at some serious intelligent plugin. Yeah, so today we're gonna look at an interesting plugin called Soothe 2. I know I checked out the original Soothe plugin a long time ago. Back then I thought it was kind of a gimmicky plugin, but recently I found myself in a situation with some messed up material that I couldn't really fix with just some tight EQ notches. So Soothe came to mind, and I just had to cave in and get it, and it really helped. So after working with Soothe a while, I find that it really helps me with some of my more creative mixing, because I really like to compress drums really hard and also use like ambient microphones and room microphones. And when you do that and compress it really hard, it tends to get a bit harsh sometimes if you don't have really smooth cymbals and hi-hats. But using a tool like this that helps you take out frequency buildups, it allows me to be a bit more aggressive in the processing of stuff and like soothe it out. I'm gonna show you a little example. I had a band in last week in the studio doing, I did some live session recordings last week, and I had this sort of progressive punk rock duo on the drums and guitar. The drummer had a crash cymbal that had a little crack in it. It worked fine. I didn't think it would be a problem when we recorded, but later in the mix I found it was a bit harsh sounding. Usually I would have tried to fix that with just some notch EQ, since I'm, as I said before, doing kind of heavy processing, so it really brings out this harshness. So let's have a listen to it. So yeah, so here's the project, and we are only gonna listen to the drum tracks here, but obviously it's a lot of guitar bleed in the overheads and room mic, since it's recorded live in one room. And as you can hear, it's pretty harsh in the cymbals in the upper like 5K region. So this is what I would usually do to try to fix that problem. That's a lot better. Okay, so let's try that with Soothe 2 instead. So now we're just going for the factory preset. It's pretty good, straight out of the box. It doesn't feel like it alters the sound as much. It just takes both the problem and some neighboring problems away, I guess. Yeah, as you can hear, this is a much more transparent way to solve this problem. Now there's a ton of settings in this plugin that you can fine-tune to make it work much more efficient. I'm not gonna go in depth, but I'm gonna show you some of it here. Yeah, so this is like the depth. This is the how much processing you want. You can see it gets more aggressive when I turn it up. So this is like the global for all the frequency bands. This is kind of the Q value for all the cuts. You see it gets sharper, and this is how many cuts. I usually go with just how it's set up to begin with. And you have your usual attack and release, as with any dynamic processor. Usually I go with the attack pretty fast and the release on the fast setting. And here you can set the oversampling and resolution, and you can also choose what kind of oversampling you use in offline bounce. So you can have one when you listen, when you're working on a project, and another when you bounce the project. And you can also choose here to have a global setting for all the instances of the plugin you have on different tracks, which is pretty convenient. You also have a sidechain here where you can load like from another track. I haven't used it that much, I don't have any real life example of it. You also have a soft and hard setting here, where the soft setting is a bit more musical and the hard one is more aggressive, so it's harder to get it to really sound natural. And over here you have what looks as regular EQ bands, but what they do is when you turn it up, you raise how much it's gonna process that area. So you have the depth on the side that is like global overall, and here you can set it on individual frequencies. And all of them have what you usually find in EQs, like the Q value, frequency, how much you want, all different bell shapes and stuff like that. So you can really fine tune what you want to do here. Another thing you can do with Soothe 2 is to clean up build-ups, not only in the high frequencies but also in the lower frequencies. And from what I understand, it's not as usual people use it for that. People tend to like go for it for a quick solution to clean up harshness in electric guitars or cymbals and stuff like that. But you can also work with the lower frequencies areas. I'm gonna show you a little example here. This is not really a real life problem I have as an example. I'm just going to show you a little bit what you can do in the lower frequencies. So we're going to check on the lower resonances of the kick drum and the snare drum, how you can pretty much take it out without affecting the sound of the rest of the instruments. Yeah, and now also let's have a look at the kick drum and see what we can do there. Yeah, so maybe this is not like the common problem that you have, but I hope you can kind of see the kind of possibilities that you have with this. So now we kind of lowered the low end of the kick drum and snare drum pretty much without affecting the low end of the guitar. This is something you could do with the dynamic EQ, but with Soothe 2, this is really easy. So yeah, I guess you're tired of that loop now, so thanks a lot to Flower Bed Bastion for letting me borrow it. I just wanted to be aware to not overuse this kind of plugins. If you have overused the de-esser at any point, you probably know what I'm aiming for here. If you use this too much, your mix will end up really flat, lifeless and dead. I mean, what we love about music, at least I love about music, is not like perfection of the sound. It has to have some nerve, and if you try to like take all of that away, it's just gonna sound lifeless. But even though I must say I really like the involvement of these kind of intelligent plugins. I mean, we had enough of emulations of classic analog gear, I think. I don't need another 1176 plugin or LA2As or whatever. I think it's much more interesting to look at this kind of plugins that really aim to take advantage of the digital muscles, sort of, and try to help us to work faster and more efficient. With that said, of course, it's important to know your craft when mixing. You should know how to take care of issues without these kind of special tools, but these tools are not going away, so if you learn to rely on them, I don't think it's that huge of a problem anyways. For me, it's a really welcome trend, and let the digital audio tools evolve to help us in a better way. That's all I had this week, so thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye. Cheers.